14 Active Committee. Sorry, guys.
In NAIDOC Assembly from respect my empowered people. Thank you.
I would like to acknowledge the original custodians of this land, the Darama people, and pay my respects to the elders both past, present and future, for they hold memories, the traditions, the culture and the hopes of Indigenous Australia. Thank you.
Talking loud and talking
Thank you, Jay. That was a beautiful performance. I would now like to invite Catherine Noah and Jessica Kelly to the stage to talk about why they love what they do.
At our school, we have 9 Torres Strait Islander girls. We as Torres Strait Islanders are unique people. We have our own cultures, customs, our own way of living, and our own lifestyle. All the islands are surrounded by water. All the islands in the Torres Strait have different cultures, different languages, but one common language we have is Creole, where we all can communicate with one another. In the Torres Strait, we have 17 inhabited islands. It is only natural for us to love our island home because it is a part of us.
We love being home because we get to spend time with our families, get to go fishing, diving, doing our cultural dances and activities, singing and feasting. These are the things and many more we miss when we leave home to attend boarding school. That's why we are always excited when we leave school to go back home for the holidays. We are all proud of our heritage and where we come from.
Also, I'd like to introduce all the Torres Strait Islander girls to do our dances.
in Kangaroo Sit-Down is 170 kilometres southwest of Rockhampton. Warrabinda is situated on the traditional lands of the Wajja Wajja and Yangulu Aboriginal people. Growing up, my nan always said I was out of Warrabinda, but that is why I'm here, to give you an insight of what I've grown up with and what sense of pride I feel when representing my culture and my people. For me, it's the little things that count, like the smell of smoke from last night's fire, where we all sat around yarning about ghost stories in the dream time, whilst cooking up damper in the cane oven, along with yesterday's deadly catch made into what we stew. I remember going out bush hunting, just going through the bush. Keeping in mind these boys are like 6 and 7-year-olds who go out to hunt for the family. Just recently, the younger community of our elders and ancestors who walked those steps during the stolen generation. I am proud of my heritage and I will continue to show the good in Warrabinda. Thank you. It's about healing. In this dance, you'll see the girls go collect green ants from the tree to bring back to heal the sick. Go for a walk back.
communities of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. NAIDOC is celebrated not only in Indigenous communities but by Australians from all walks of life. The celebration of NAIDOC history is a great opportunity to celebrate the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander community. NAIDOC originally stood for National
Before the 1920s, Aboriginal rights groups boycotted Australia Day in the protest against the status and treatment of Indigenous Australians. By the 1920s, they were increasingly aware that the broader Australian public were largely ignorant of the boycotts. If the movement were to make progress, it would need to be active. Several organisations emerged to fill this role, particularly the Australian Aboriginal Progress Association, AAPA, in 1924, and the Australian Aboriginal League, AAL, in 1932. Their efforts were largely overlooked, and due to the police harassment, the AAP abandoned their work in 1927. In 1935, William Cooper, founder of the AAL, drafted a petition to Senator King George V, asking for special Aboriginal electorates in the federal parliament. The Australian government believed that the petition fell outside the constitutional responsibilities.
On Australia Day in 1938, protesters marched to the streets of Sydney, followed by a congress attended by over 1,000 people. One of the first major civil rights gathering in the world, it was known as the Morning Day. Following the congress, William Cooper presented Prime Minister Joseph Lyons with a proposed national policy for Aboriginal people. This was again rejected. There was a growing feeling that it should be a regular event.
From 1940 until 1955, the Day of Mourning was held annually on the Sunday before Australia Day. It was known as Aboriginal Australia Day, and was shifted to the first Sunday in July. It was decided the day should become a day of celebration of Aboriginal culture.
Aboriginal organisations, state and federal governments, and a number of church groups all supported the formation of the National Aborigines Day Committee. The second Sunday in July became a day of remembrance for Aboriginal people and their heritage. In 1972, the Department of Aboriginal Affairs was formed. In 1974, the NAIDOC Committee was composed entirely of Aboriginal members. In 1984, NAIDOC asked that National Aborigines Day be made a national public holiday.
With the awareness of the district cultural histories of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, NAIDOC was expanded to recognise Torres Strait Islander people and culture. The committee then became known as the National Aborigines and Islanders Day Observers Committee. This year now has become the title for the whole week, not just the day. Each year a theme is chosen to reflect the important issues and events for NAIDOC Week. Our National NAIDOC Committee makes key decisions on national celebrations each year.
The theme for 2040 is Serving Country, St. Henry and beyond. Harry Pitt, the Torres Strait Islander artist, is posted in the post to show respect for land and water, the country, and future spirit. We hope you enjoy our NAIDOC celebration. Thank you.
I would like to invite Ivy Mona, Michelle Hewings, and Mr. Bob Blair to the stage.
Today is Mr. Bob Blair. Mr. Blair is a local businessman who has developed the Dreamtime Centre in Rockhampton. Mr. Blair is a very proud man, proud of his heritage and his family and his country. He has many stories to tell, but a short version of how he served his country as an army officer.
Well, thank you all for inviting me here today. I'd like to also acknowledge the traditional owners of the land we're on today, the Durham people, and my respects to the elders, both past and present. I was born in Wandai in the South Burnett area of Queensland, and when I was about 3 or 4 years old, my mother and father split, and I ended up being put into the Cherbourg mission. And after about 6 months in there, my father came and seen me. I was covered with dulums, and that's the stuff that gets into your hair and covered in swords. And he finally took me to Harvey Bay to be brought up by my uncle and my auntie, who became my mum and my pop. And their 3 daughters, of course, became my sisters. So I went to Urangan Point State School, and we were very poor. I didn't have any shoes in days. I go to school without shoes. There was no uniforms around those days. And after turning 14, I was in grade 8, and I said to Mum, can I leave school? And she said, if you get yourself a job, you can leave school. So I caught the train to Maryborough, knocked on the doors of the railway and the forestry, and they all asked me how old I was. And I always said, I'm going on 15. And they said, when was your birthday? I said, well, a couple of days ago. So that sort of, if they said to me, well, when you're 15 you can come back. So I caught the train back, and we used to go and play in the pier at Urangan. And on Sunday afternoon we'd be waiting for me mates, and we'd all turn up and have a bit of a swim and jump in the sand and all that stuff. We didn't have any of these iPads or telephones or all that rubbish that's around today. We never had that. And the fellow from the forestry office walked past, and he said to me, young fellow, he said, have you got yourself a job yet? And I said, no sir, I haven't. He said, well, if you get your butt to Chewan Forestry tomorrow morning, he said, you've got a job. So I ended up spending 4 years in the forestry and doing crushing of the ice at Central Sugar Mill, where I was the horse boy. After I turned 19, I decided to join the army. Went to Brisbane, went to Sydney, and about 50 or 60 of us hopped on the train and went from Sydney to Wagga Wagga, and we ended up with the 1st Recruit Training Battalion, which was at Kapooka. And Kapooka is still known today, that's where you'll end up. So I did my 3-month stunt there, went to the 1st Battalion in Holsworthy, and I actually got posted back to Kapooka, and I ended up as a corporal. And I ended up getting married when I was at Kapooka, and I always remember coming to Wagga Wagga, and we were searching for a flat. And the lady there was a German lady, and she had this part of the flat that she had, and she said to me, I know you just got married, but as soon as you have any babies, I want you out. So after about something like 12 to 18 months, our first child arrived, and we said to her, we're leaving. Well, she cried like hell, and she said, I don't want you to leave. So when we had to leave, we had a married quarter, so we lived there, and the other daughter was born. And I then got promoted to sergeant and went to the 2nd Battalion, the Royal Australian Regiment, that was based in Brisbane, and getting ready to go to Vietnam. And I was in charge of about 45 soldiers, and it was funny because you concentrate on the soldiers, and my girls were around about something like 3 and 2 year old. And so in the army, you're well looked after from a point of view as if you're a soldier, even with your families. But because we moved so much, and I was getting ready to go to Vietnam, it was a burden on the family. So from my point of view is that they really stood the test of time. Because I was out there training to go to Vietnam, and I ended up going over there, and I spent 13 months in Vietnam, and they were in Brisbane. We came back, we had numerous postings up to Townsville, back to Brisbane. I think we went to South Australia, Woodside in South Australia. We came back to Brisbane. We went to Canungra, went to Singleton, back to Brisbane, and finally arrived here in Rockhampton. So on that particular tour that we did, for instance, to the family of Boyd, I worked out, to give you some indication, because we moved around so much, was that the family really was rock solid from my point of view. We were very poor. I remember it when we went in our married quarter at Wagga Wagga. We used to sleep in one bed to keep warm, and we used to have the oven on all the time in winter. So that's how poor we were. But we lived and the family was very strong. The kids today, one's in Mount Isa, she's a midwife. The other one's a teacher in Townsville. And my young fellow, he travels the country at the moment and the world. He's a movie director and producer and all the other stuff that he normally does. He's back in Australia. He did a movie in Bulgaria, back in Australia now, I'm going to New York in about 3 weeks' time. So from the point of view is that what I'm trying to say to you is that the stability of the family was very good. A lot of things happened. I rose to the rank of Warrant Officer Class 1. I was the RSM here, the Regimental Sergeant Major of the 42nd Battalion, the Royal Queensland Regiment. So from that point on, I did a lot of things, I suppose, in the army, and you really meet a lot of mates. And one in particular, around about 15 years ago, one of the girls rang down, she said, there's a fellow that wants to see you. He's got his wife and he's got his kids with him, and he's come from West Australia, he wants to see you. So I thought, the name rang a bell, but because you were in the army, met many people in the army, he actually came down and he said, I brought my wife and my kids to see the mongrel who threw my locker through the window. And I thought, the locker through the window. And I inspected their rooms around about 7 o'clock in the 1900 hours, if you want to go back to the army time. And it wasn't clean, and I went back at 8 o'clock at night and it wasn't clean again. I picked this locker up and threw it through the window. And as soon as he said that, I can remember what happened. But in the army, you never hold a grudge. And I believe that also, from my point of view, you never hold a grudge wherever you come from. And so we had morning tea, we talked about the good times, we talked about the bad times, but at the end of the day, we went away mates. And I think that goes to show that in the army you make a lot of friends. I don't think you make any enemies. And I think from the point of view is that, you know, the stability of the family, the stability of where I came from, and what I'm doing today, I think it puts you in good stead in relation to where you want to go in the future. But I'd just like to cover a couple of areas here. I'd like to say also is that, from the point of view is that, never stop dreaming. Never stop dreaming, because I believe that somewhere down the track, your dreams will come true. You'll always remember, I believe, your school life. I do, even though I left in grade 8. I still had to go back in the army and still get those qualifications to get promoted. So, from my point of view, I'd like to thank you very much for inviting me here to share with you the NAIDOC experience, and I'm really touched of what I've seen so far.
Some of your life history today, and thank you for being a part of the 2014 NAIDOC history of serving country. You are certainly an inspiration to us. We have a small gift to present to you. Please join me in thanking Mr. Webb.
Could I please invite Miss Gash, Jacqueline Alwang, and Yolanda Brown to the stage, please?
And identity for Thursday Island people. The flag was designed by the late Bernard Namok from Thursday Island. It was the winning entry from a design competition held as part of our cultural revival workshop organized by the island's coordinating council in January 1992. The flag was recognized by the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Commission in June 1992 and given equal prominence with the Aboriginal flag. In July 1995, The flag was recognized by the Australian government as an official flag of Australia under the Flags Act in 1953. Each part of the flag is designed to represent significant parts of the Torres Strait Islander cultures. The green part represents the land, the blue part represents the sea, the white represents peace, and the black represents the Torres Strait Islanders. The center of the flag displays a white berry, a dancer's headdress, which is a symbol for all Torres Strait Islanders. Displayed underneath the berry is a white five-pointed star representing the 5 island groups in the Torres Strait. The star is also a symbol for seafaring people used to navigate the sea. I would like to present Miss Cash with our flag.
We'll fly this flag.
The Australian Aboriginal flag was designed by Harold Thomas. It was first flown in Adelaide in 1971. In 1994, the flag was accepted by the Commonwealth. The meanings of the coloured panels are: the black represents the Aboriginal people of Australia. The yellow circle represents the sun, the giver of life and protector of life. The red represents the red earth and the red oak used in ceremony. The red also represents Aboriginal people's spiritual relation to the land. I would like to present Miss Gash with our flag.
I'm not actually sure what's next on the running sheet, but I want to introduce someone who's a special guest. She opened the proceedings today, but she was a bit of a surprise package because I didn't know she was coming. Yvette Williams was our ATSI prefect from last year. Could you please welcome her, because we didn't really know. Like to get all of our ATSI girls up on stage with me. I've just got a very brief statement to make, and I want you all here when I make this statement. So you might have to make 2 lines first. So these assemblies have become a proud tradition of the school, and every year I think they get richer and we learn more. You know, and we ask ourselves, why does it matter that we celebrate the Indigenous cultures of this vast and ancient? Because the Indigenous cultures of Australia are the oldest continuous cultures anywhere in the world. That's significant. That's magnificent. That we have many cultures that have continued, and the only place on the planet where that is true. We celebrate because these cultures are complex, beautiful. They are not simple cultures. They are incredibly complex cultures that we need to know more about. We celebrate Indigenous cultures because at their heart, they're in harmony with nature, and we need to learn from them. We need to respect what they have known for 60,000 years and that we're getting wrong at a rapid rate. And we celebrate in this hall here at this school because we have the absolute privilege of having sisters who are part of this unique and enduring heritage, and we are blessed to have the opportunity to learn from them. Thank you, girls.
Raise your hands if you heard or seen the sapphires. August speaker, Mr. Butler's son, Wayne Blair, is the director of the movie The Sapphires, and Wayne was kind enough to send a message our way.
Moses yen yen wala ye puri buj ngara pura fera yumanayala ngara pura fera
Ladies and gentlemen, just while the girls are assembling, I'd like to also pay tribute to another special guest today. And he is Grandad Wally. He's Patrice and Philomene's granddad, and he's travelled all the way in today for our NAIDOC Assembly. So welcome, Wally, and thank you.
Can I now ask for you